Hello and welcome to the Career Development Alumni interview series. I'm Cicely Podgigadak, the Associate Director of Career and Professional Development here at Sacred Heart University. And I'm lucky to have an alumni who currently works within our healthcare and public health community, specifically in the nursing field of healthcare. Today, he is going to speak a little bit about his background and share a little bit of advice for all of the students here. Let's get started. Joe, why don't you start by giving us a brief overview of your experience?
My name is Joe McGuigan. I am a proud father of a 9-year-old daughter. And I currently work at St. Vincent's on the, excuse me, on the cardiology unit. And I've been there for almost 2 years. I was a CNA before I got hired there. And yeah, it's been a great experience for me so far, great learning experience, going through nursing school while also working in the hospital setting. And it kind of gave me a focus to where I want to be and what I want to do when I got out of school.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit, being within that unit, what you do, specifically your function there, and kind of walking us through a day-to-day or a day in the life of Joe on the cardiac floor.
Well, it's a very busy floor. Our patients are very sick. Most of them are elderly, but not necessarily. We do have a lot of obese patients as well, as you could imagine, with cardiac issues. So it's very challenging, and it requires a full team effort. A day without CNAs as a nurse is a very, very difficult day. We've had some challenges at St. Vincent's as well. I just got off of orientation about 3 weeks ago. And after 2 weeks, we changed our entire medical record system. So that just added a little bit more of confusion, but it's a great learning experience as well. Because I think once we get this medical system down, it'll be superior to the one that we had before. But it's just challenging. And our floor sees a lot of COVID patients because one of the things that COVID could one of the things that happens with COVID is it tends to clot your blood, and that has tremendous effects on the heart. So a lot of patients need to be on telemetry if they do have COVID. And that is if their symptoms, if their respiratory system isn't that damaged. If that's the case, then they have to go to ICU or they have to get a little bit more close-knit care. But we do have a lot of COVID patients on our floor, and Hartford Healthcare manages it very, very well. It keeps us all safe, and yeah, and it's a challenge. It's a wonderful challenge. It's a great learning experience.
How did you decide to get into the cardiac side of nursing?
Well, it actually was just by chance. I was on clinical, and I was looking to get into the hospital as a CNA. And I just happened to, the professor I had my clinical with knew the manager that was on the cardiac floor. And she saw her in the lunchroom while I was eating lunch and introduced me to her. And it was actually that easy. I just applied the next day, and in about a week, I was hired, and it was the best decision I made.
That's great. It's nice to hear networking really does work
Oh,
in the
yeah.
real world scenario. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the factors that help to contribute to you, again, getting into this field specifically?
Well, my previous life, I was a television cameraman. I spent 12 years working for the Fox affiliate in Boston. It was a fun career. I did that after I graduated from Sacred Heart the first time with a media studies degree. And working and living in Boston was a great, great experience. But the television industry was sort of on its way down, I thought, because nobody really was rushing home to watch the evening news anymore, because you could get it on your phones, you can get it on the computer. And I kind of saw all of that building up. And it changed the whole face of the television news industry. So I kind of I was thinking about doing something else. And then the Boston Marathon bombing happened. And I was there within a half hour after the bombing went off. And I was just kind of running around, putting my camera and interviewing all the runners who couldn't cross the finish line and were scared, and they just didn't know what to do. And seeing Boston was just a complete ghost town at the time, and I sort of felt like I was in the way. I didn't really feel like I was contributing to anything at that moment. I was kind of just putting my camera in the faces of people who were having a tremendous emotional and challenging time. And here I was, um, not helping, but sort of exploiting might be too strong of a word, but it's the only one I can think of right now. And plus the state of mind I was in at the time, I really thought I wasn't helping. And then when I saw the footage of my coworker who was at the finish line at the time, I saw the footage of all the hospital workers, because there was a triage center set up on the finish line, and that's where the bombs went off. And these doctors, these nurses, the CNAs that were working, that were volunteering their time with a bunch of other regular civilians, ran to the aid of all the people that were in desperate medical need, and they just saved lives. And that just put the kind of just put the bug in my head of wanting to change my life and kind of just do something that I felt was more meaningful, and also had to do with real life situations like sickness and health. And I wanted something. I felt like that was a more tangible way to experience life than just kind of hiding behind a camera and capturing life. I felt being a nurse is a hands-on approach to life. And it was just the juxtaposition of those two career moves is what really kind of set the wheels in motion. But it wasn't for a couple of years later that things happened in my life that kind of accelerated my drive to go back to school.
Gotcha. If you could do it all over again, would you have done anything differently as it relates to major, career path, and maybe even, I know a little behind the scenes, you're continuing on with your RN to BSN. Would you do anything differently looking at your schooling as a whole with Sacred Heart University?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm certainly am glad, and I'm sort of blessed that my whole higher education happened at Sacred Heart. I mean, my family has a rich tradition at Sacred Heart. My sister, my mother, my father was the first All-American ever at Sacred Heart University. I have cousins and uncles. I mean, so much of my family went to Sacred Heart University. So when St. Vincent sort of switched over to Sacred Heart, or Sacred Heart Baltimore, I mean, right at the time that I went there, I was the first class to have that, to be a part of that transition. I just sort of felt like everything was meant to be, and I'm supposed to be following in this path. And that certainly is true with the way this whole COVID crisis came out. I mean, I became a nurse during a global pandemic. I mean, for me, it just seems like I'm in the right spot. But I don't think I would change anything. I thoroughly enjoyed my previous profession. I mean, I guess just being an older student, I sort of wish I made certain decisions earlier. But still, at my age, I don't plan on stopping. I'm going to get my BSN. And then I think I'm going to need more experience as a nurse before I decide if I want to go on to be an APRN. Sort of making that decision to be an APRN right now, I don't think is fair, because there are nurses who only have associate's degrees, but has 30 years as a nurse. And there's no way I could ever, no matter what degree I have, I will never be a better nurse than they are right now. So I think experience in nursing accounts for a tremendous amount. Education is great, but hands-on experience is, I think, what really matters in nursing. You have to be able to see everything in order to react to everything. So the BSN program I'm going through now, and then the APRN probably not for, maybe another, 8 years or so of real experience. And then I'll see if I can get back into school. But I love challenging myself in school. I think it's an important aspect to kind of keep yourself young and to kind of keep moving forward in life.
And my last question for you today is, could you maybe provide some advice to our current students who are interested in getting into the healthcare and or nursing field?
Be a CNA. You learn a tremendous amount. The main thing you learn is your how comfortable you can be with another human being in their most vulnerable part of their lives. And that's not something you're going to get in nursing school. It's not even something you'll get a little bit of it in your clinical, but not nearly enough because you're not in clinicals enough. My first 3 months as a CNA, the amount that I grew in confidence with handling a patient was tremendous. And it's helped me out a lot when I became a nurse. And also having that relationship with the CNAs as a nurse is crucial to develop. And if a CNA knows that you were once them, then you'll just have a better working relationship with them. Being a nurse on a floor is a community event, and everyone has to act like a small community and help each other out. You have to get along with each other, and you have to truly, truly help each other if you're going to have a successful shift. And the longer you could be involved in that environment and kind of see how it works out and how it plays out, the better off you're going to be.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I really appreciate your time this afternoon, Joe, and I wish you continued success with the program, with the new electronic medical record system transition that's happening, and also just to stay healthy. And we appreciate everything you guys are doing on the front lines for all of us. And just think about this resume booster as you kind of progress in your career. Who else will be able to say they started their career amidst a global pandemic? I think the things that you've seen now, sort of jumping right into the fire, has been probably a experience you'll never be able to put into words going forward. But I wish you much success. And again, thank you for your time today. And I'm sure all the students will appreciate your interview and the insight that you've provided to them, and wish you a happy holiday.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.